नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्नस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासवी गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh my God, today we are reading a very intense section. It's not my favorite. Let me say it in that way. Krishna Chaitanya. It gives me chills in my body whenever I think of this pastime. Who would like to do the honors to begin? Definitely not me.
What? Oh, Sati quit somebody. Okay, now only I'm saying why you're saying. I'm not able to see. Okay, I can go. It's from that chapter, right, Mataji?
Yeah.
Okay. Sati quits her body. Ignoring her husband, Sati goes to Daksha's sacrifice where he shuns her. When she notes that he is not making offerings to Shiva, she gives up her life. That's just the prelude. Sati glared at her husband. How dare he suggest her father could be so heartless? She abruptly turned and ran towards the exit, but then hesitated. Shiva was the wisest person in the universe. It would be folly to ignore his instruction. She turned back and returned to where Shiva watched her with concern. Outside, she heard the merry laughter of the celestial wives as they flew overhead. Again, her heart was drawn to joining them. How nice it would be to see her relatives and friends. It would be such a joyous occasion. Her father would be in a jolly mood and would surely be happy to see her. There was no possibility he would insult his youngest and favorite daughter. She turned and left the hut. As she headed to her own quarters, she heard Shiva's followers singing his glories. Was she doing the right thing? Her husband was a great personality. He would never mislead her. She went back to his hut, but thinking again of the upcoming festival, once more changed her mind and turned to leave. Unable to decide, she went back and forth like a swing. Hot tears ran down her face and her body shook. She missed her family, and remembering their affection for her, she longed to see them again. When Shiva came forward to soothe her, she forbade him with an angry glance. Shiva stood back. He would have to let her go. It was...
Oh, let's pause there. When sometimes we have this kind of dilemmas, right? We know that something is meant to be in a certain way that crushes our sense of whatever self-will, right? This is like a good example of self-will versus God's will. And in this case, we can say Shiva is God. You know, like God's will is like it says, Lord Shiva is the wisest person in the whole universe. Can you imagine? Sometimes we have difficulty with our not so perfectly wise husbands. Imagine with a perfect husband, with a wise husband, we can still have this. So I just want to bring up one principle here. The principle is, it's not about how qualified your husband is. It's about how we are growing and becoming the best version of ourselves. Sometimes we may think, if only my husband was better or different, then my life would be better. I would be more spiritual. It doesn't work like that. Even with the bestest of the bestest husbands, if our minds are not fixed on Krishna and our priority is not Krishna, we don't put Krishna in the center, even the best of the best husbands, the best of the best relatives and the friends and all kinds of resources, is not going to be useful and it's not going to fulfill us. So this is the whole process of anartha nivriti. Anartha nivriti process is not about blaming other people or pointing fingers and say, if only my husband was more Krishna conscious, then I would do A, B, and C. So it's not like that. The anartha nivriti process is to see, oh, how do I keep my side of the road clean? It's very difficult, honestly. It's very difficult to do. And in this case, Sati is showing how even with Lord Shiva as the husband, the tendency of a woman to social life or certain kind of family support, we usually feel we like socializing. Women as in general, we like to be with friends, we like to hang out, we are attached to certain kind of friends, certain kind of family. And when we don't have that, we become frustrated and we become very dissatisfied. But the consequences of that is like there's you can be dissatisfied in sattva, rajas, and tamas. And in tamoguna, what is happening here in this chapter, who she become angry with Lord Shiva. Come on, becoming angry with Lord Shiva, right? We may think, come on, how is that even possible? But when we get affected by association modes, then we get dragged down. And of course, yeah, it's passion also, right? I'm saying tamas because it ended in tamas, right? Destruction of the whole body of Sati. And Rajas because she becomes angry with Lord Shiva. What would have been sattva? Sattva would have been to look at our need. Like imagine in our situations, relevant situation, we may feel like, oh, feel alone. I need friends. I need to socialize. So what we do is we analyze our need. We don't blame ourselves. We don't shame ourselves. We don't blame anybody else. We just look at our need and say, okay, I have this need for connection. Then we write down and see what are the possibilities that I can do in order to feel connected. I mean, in Sati's case, there was a little bit of that. I mean, I'm saying this is a whole pastime and needed, she had to give up that body because Dakshayani's daughter, she wanted that body to be gone. There's a pastime here. But I'm saying what we can learn or understand is that Shiva also represents Guru, right? So sometimes Guru tells us, preach or do Krishna consciousness, chant nicely, study, and we're not able to do it, right? We may become angry with our Guru in the sense, maybe not like angry. We may ignore it, ignorance, right? It's denial. We don't want to do what Guru says because we are looking for something soothing according to our mind. We're not ready to do austerity. But in Sattva-guna, we see that, oh, I have a need. How can I fulfill this need for connection in a healthy way? So that's the way, sometimes we want Krishna to help us the way we want, right? And here Lord Shiva is not doing that. He came to soothe her and please don't go, right? And then she was just like, no, I'm like, and then Shiva said, fine, what can a guru do if we don't want to follow the instruction? Or what can even a very devotional husband do if we do not want to practice Krishna consciousness? Sometimes it's subtle. The husband might appear not like a perfect sadhaka and preach to us, but there's Krishna's hand behind that. You need to look at and see why my husband is behaving like this. Because I am not chanting with attention. Okay, I am not doing things the way the better way, like that. So yeah, she was letting her go now. It's painful, right? Rasastali Mataji, would you like to continue reading? Thank you. It was difficult to watch her leave.
Watch her leave. They were like two halves of one body. How could he live if anything untoward happened to her? There was nothing he could do. She was determined. He watched helplessly as she rushed off, breathing heavily from anger and sorrow. The Yakshas, Maniman, and Mada saw their mistress rising toward the airways. Turning, they saw Shiva standing at the entrance of his hut, looking anxiously at his fleeing wife. They understood his mind and immediately notified thousands of his yaksha attendants. Along
Mm.
with Shiva's bull carrier Nandi, they all followed her. With great respect, they induced her to sit on Nandi's back. To amuse her, they brought her pet bird, a lotus flower, a jeweled mirror, and many other items for her enjoyment. When she was seated comfortably, they covered her with a colorful canopy. Then, with much singing accompanied by
Let's pause there. The way she left, it was difficult to watch her leave because you see, Mahadev, he's actually the Lord of Tamas Guna. Some Tamas Guna is necessary, right? If we don't go to sleep, our body will not rest. And sleeping is Tamas Guna. Without the sleep, we cannot nourish in our body and get the required rest. And Tamas Guna also means to not act in circumstances where we are angry and irritated, and he's a lord of the lord of destruction, and the lord of ignorance as well. And so even I keep often referring to astrology. As in astrology, Saturn is a planet of laziness and lameness and all this, like to not react. And so there are circumstances where you're not supposed to react. You're supposed to let go. You're supposed to not like, and Mahadev is showing this quality as well. Like, some other husband, I mean, if Lord Shiva is the husband, he could tie her up, or I don't know. I'm just saying, some husbands can be like lock the wives up. I know even devotee husbands sometimes do that. They lock the wife inside the door, inside the house, and they don't let them go outside or something. But none of that sort of thing is happening. He's letting go. Okay. So even tamas guna can be done in a higher consciousness. Higher consciousness, tamaguna, is what Lord Mahadev is demonstrating here. Lower tamaguna is to not to destroy something you have, like that. And also Sati is leaving. She's not leaving jolly. She's hoping to feel jolly, to be with the relatives, right? She's hoping. But actually how she left is, she left with anger, and she left hurt, and she left really irritated. So that's right, Bhagavad Gita basics. When we start something which is painful, and the middle is also painful, the end is also painful. Of course, there's the other philosophy. If you, it's bitter in the beginning, and then later on it's nectar. But she's not willing to take the bitter medicine of listening to Lord Shiva here. So there's a difference here. So in Sattva Guna, what we start feels a little bit bitter in the beginning, and then in the middle it gets a little better, and the end result is excellent, wonderful. In Rajas Guna, we feel super excited. There's a mixture here, like where Sati Mata is like, she's in a more little bit like normal woman, right? Like natural woman tendency. We want to be with friends and relatives. That's normal, natural tendency, right? Mm, So in passion, she's ignoring Lord Shiva's warning, and she's becoming angry with Lord Shiva. And then, of course, there is some tamas there, and she's not joyfully saying, Lord Shiva, you have your opinion, I'll have my opinion. You enjoy your solitude. I like socializing, I'm going. Whatever my father says, I'm not going to listen to it, I'm just saying, like, that could have been a little bit more, whatever, Sattva. But she was completely in denial of Daksha's tendency and character, complete, delusional about what Daksha was capable of. She's completely delusional about it. And she's leaving the house in anger. Like there is a lot of indications there. Anyway, we have to see two sides of the story. One side, we could see this as a Leela of the mother and father of this material universe, Mahadev and Lord Shiva and Lord Parvati. Parvati, she'll later become, right now she's Sati. There is the pastime, right? And then there are internal lessons, psychological, you can call it like Vedic psychological lessons, or since time immemorial, women have been like this. Since time immemorial, there's a tendency of feminine. But then Sati is teaching us what will be the consequence if we do it in certain way. And together, we are discussing how we can control our rajas and tamas in our daily life and listen to Guru listen to Sadhu Shastra so that we can channel our needs in a healthier way. Nobody's saying don't get your needs met, but look at the needs in a sattvic way. Any questions or comments so far? I'm only going on and on.
No, it's very beautiful. Sorry. It's very beautiful. My question, I'm sorry, there's so much. 1 second. Yeah, my question is why is it that she was so, what do you say? So, what do you say? Illusioned about, deluded or illusioned about her father's position. Like, didn't she see like how he was having animosity towards Lord Shiva? I'm like, kind of like wonderstruck, like why she was not able to see it. Was she like so much illusion that she's referring, right, that I'm the youngest as well as I'm his favorite. So that kind of emotion, that feeling or that position that she felt that she had, that made her kind of really accept the fact that no, he will treat me well. He does not have anything towards Shiva, or it's like he has towards Shiva, but I'm the youngest, I'm the favorite, so I'm sure he'll be nice to me. So what was the, the reality? Sorry.
I mentioned even the other day, see, there are kind of, you can say, compatibility between personalities, right? And Sati and Daksha's compatibility was excellent until this event, of course. They were very, he was very affectionate, and she had never seen the other side of him. She always saw the good side of Daksha, the affectionate father side, right? She always saw that. And secondly, in our cases, because we are completely affected by modes of nature, Sati Devi is not like affected like us, obviously. She's choosing to be in that illusion. I mean, we also do it, we many times. It's not that we don't know, it's not that we are completely in illusion. We know even if we are with friends, there'll be complication. We know even if we go to our family, the same parents who loved us or our mentors, there will be problems. We know that, right? It's not that we don't know that. We're a little bit grown up and we know, even, but still the mind, right? The mind under the modes makes us think, oh, back then it was so nice. But if you really visit your past and see, it was not so nice. Even in Sati's case, when she goes back and sees, Daksha was not at all happy to give her to Lord Shiva. It was all not so nice. She's ignoring to see it, right? So sometimes we have a similar challenge in our lives. We may think, oh, before I got married, life was so nice. Before I had children, life was so nice. It's all just lies we tell ourselves. Okay. But in this case, Sati Mata is not lying to herself as such. By the way, she's a young girl in this story when we're talking about, she's not a 40-year-old woman or something. She's still a very young girl who has natural attraction towards being back with her family, like that. And she just sometimes, we ignore to see the consequences of our actions. We just want what we want, right? And in her case, she just wants to be with her parents. Look at this actual situation here. It's not her fault. It's not at all her fault. It's completely responsibility of Daksha, because Daksha's immaturity, Daksha's inability to actually act in ways that is favorable for everyone involved, for the whole humanity. It's completely Daksha's fault. She's a young girl who just wants to be with her parents. What is so wrong with it, right? She just wants to be part of a celebration. So it's not like she's doing anything wrong here. So there are many factors we should consider. One thing, in our cases, we get completely deluded because we choose to not look at reality. We want to think, it would be so nice if this. Hey, come on! In this world, even this will cause you problem, because under your head is the cloud. Wherever you go, you'll carry that cloud. The other day, I had a student. She was in a really bad mood and she got jealous. And so she was feeling upset, and wherever she's going, she's feeling upset. It's not about this circumstance. And I'm still yet to explain that to her. It is not this other girl. Some other girl came and she was serving with me, doing service. And one girl felt jealous that this other girl was taking away all the service. So I'm just saying that it's not the detail. It's actually our mindset. if we have a good mindset, we'll be peaceful anywhere. If we have a mindset of dissatisfaction, we can be like that anywhere. So that's a human lesson for us. But the actual lesson here is how Daksha, with his leadership power, he misuses it, and how he just messes everything up completely. Is that it's a multifaceted answer, not like one answer. Why did she, it's a Leela. It's a
Mm.
Leela. It is also a lesson for humanity. And it is ultimately to show us that if one leader is wrong, what all can happen.
Yeah, so beautiful, very nice. But Shiva was able to see, he had that clarity, right? That this is what is going on in Daksha's heart. He had very good clarity about the reality of Daksha's disposition towards him. But it was only Sati who could not see it.
Also, a
Is that
couple
right?
of things. I came to understand by reading this particular chapter. I mean, this previous chapter, the third chapter, is that see, in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are not so many details of exactly what happened. There's not detail. Oh, the husband came home and then told Sati everything that happened. It doesn't give all those kind of details, right? And in this book, in the third chapter, it's kind of indicated. This book is also referred with other Puranas and everything. So some details he gives here that's not in the direct Bhagavatam verses. So there is a detail in the third chapter. It says that Lord Shiva didn't tell all the details to Sati. Like, he kept it to himself, that Laksha said, you have a face like a monkey, your eyes are like monkey. He didn't tell all those things to Sati. Sati didn't know the details of these things. And therefore, she was also kept in the dark, so to speak. He didn't want to like make her feel really bad. So he didn't say that the extent of insult that Daksha was capable of, even at the cost of his image. Daksha was so illusioned and so arrogant and so covered that, he's actually a Enneagram type 3 type of personality. Me, my greatness and nobody else is greater than me. Planet sun kind of energy. Hmm. And Dakshayani, she knew that my father will never do something that will ruin his reputation. My father is such an image conscious person. I'm just saying, like, she knows the personality type, right? I'm thinking also, I know somebody in my life. I know that if I put them in public, open eye like that, they will never make mistakes that they will make in private. Because public, they want to show that they're perfection and exemplified people. They'll never, even they're jealous, they will not show that in public. They will not. But in Daksha's case, he went to an extent of expressing jealousy, which was inconceivable even for Sati. She never saw that. I mean, in a mundane modern day life, the situation would be a narcissistic father. Daksha is the typical narcissistic man, okay? Narcissistic father. Nobody can say anything against him, and he's only Indra, Chandra, Devendra. We call it like that, South India. When somebody acts like everything has to be centered on them, we say, "Oh, what, you're Indra, Chandra, Devendra." Means like you act like you're everything. You're the boss. You're the heaven, god of heavens. You're god of morning and you're god of night, like that. So Daksha had that tendency, right? In modern day situations, this is real, my dear friends. This is real what I'm talking right now. We come across narcissistic people every day in our lives. It may be neighbors, it may be fathers we grew up with, it may be our husbands. We have this, it's a kind of a mindset, okay? It's a mindset. We can, on a Vedic level, we can say astrological planetary combinations where Sun and Mars are afflicted and all like that. And then in a modern day psychology, because I studied psychology, we call it this kind of NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. It's a kind of a disease, another material disease. And these people are very much about, they are full of themselves. They go to like any extent to make themselves feel good and make themselves be superior. So in modern day, there are people like that. Unfortunately, we have even leaders, even within our movement, who are pretty narcissistic. And which basically means that they put their needs in front of the needs of the congregation, or the needs of the devotees, or the needs even the purpose of the acharyas, right? That's what narcissistic means. So full of themselves, and they don't see anybody else. They don't see any other purpose as important as their own purpose. And by hook or crook, they'll satisfy themselves. These are all very important for us to know. Can't blindly just think somebody is wearing kantimala and tilak and she has a shaved head, is a pure devotee. Here, we have more than kantimala, tilak, and shika. He's the progenitor. Daksha is he's going to like populate the world. It's such a responsibility he had. And still here we see his character defect coming out in this way, arrogance coming out. One last thing I say before we move on. Sometimes even in devotional service, this attitude can come of me and mine. We may be doing a very special devotional service. We may be cooking for our gurus. We may be cooking for Vaishnavas. We may be cooking for deities. We may be making jewelry for deities. We may be making garland for deities. We may be serving the Vaishnavas in very amazing ways. We may be doing some really nice service. And sometimes it could even be a menial service and nobody else knows. But pride can lurk in. Sense of me and mine can lurk in. I have some experience. Sometimes I do some service and it's so slowly that identification and attachment to, oh, this is my service can creep in. And then we start comparing, oh, did somebody else cook better than me? Did somebody else make the garland better than me? It happens to me sometimes. And I notice myself and I see, oh God, what's happening here? And then I pray, Shrimati Radharani, dear Madhava, please remove this character defect that I have, that I'm thinking that this is my service or I'm doing it well, What is all this nonsense? I'm a servant. I'm doing this to please the Lord. It's not any other purpose. Initially, when we do service, and I watch the Mayapur TV, I'm watching like every day. Whenever I do service, I'm like, I'm watching to see darshan. Oh, how is Ramadava wearing this? How is Radharani wearing this? And everything. Only I will notice. No other person will actually see which jewelry I made or what I made, what garland I made or something. But there can be a sense of identification that, like sometimes when I don't make garlands, I'm not so keen to watch darshan. Okay, I just watch it, but I don't watch with such attention to details like when I do. So these are all character defects that I need to work on, to look at myself and see what is my real intention to do this service. Is it to please the Lord or is it to please myself? So I'm just saying there are risks to service, and Daksha fell to that risk. There was a risk. He was taking such a big responsibility, but he offended Lord Shiva. And he offended Sati. I mean, he's still there. Okay. Anybody else? Rajeshwari Radhika Mataji, welcome. And we have Snehavati Gandharvika Mataji with us today. Welcome. We are here. So he let her go. Maybe we can just finish this page. Rajeshwari Radhika Mataji, would you like to finish this? Oh, we did this, right? Yeah. Yeah. This.
Drums, bugle, and conch shell blast. The entire procession proceed towards Daksha's home. Soon they arrived at the great arena of sacrifice. Sages, Brahmins, and gods were assembled in huge numbers. Many ornate golden arches and towering marble columns, along with the rows brightly colored peanuts on the tall stalks, stood around the arena. Huge pots fashioned from the gold, stone, and clay lay here, and they filled with ghee, milk, yogurt, and pure water, meant for the ritual. Animals were tethered near the sacrificial fire. Vedic hymns resounded throughout the arena as priests poured long streams of golden ghee into the fire, which crackled and smoked. The celestials were alarmed on the seeing Sati approach. Oh Vishnu, look who is here, they exclaim. They look at one another. What should
Okay, we'll pause there for today. We'll stop here and then continue tomorrow. And there are 2 points here, right? First of all, I didn't understand why they said, oh, like, we say, oh, Krishna, we say, right? So they say, oh, Vishnu, look who's here. They're shocked. Sati is not invited. Everybody knows this politics is going on between the father-in-law and son-in-law. And then they are looking at, what? How come Sati is here? Lord Shiva is not here. She came alone. The whole thing happens now. The other thing I wanted to say is it's good to end with her entering the celebration mood instead of ending with her going in anger. I hope her mood gets a little bit better now, right? Like looking at all this. But at the same time, we know, even if we are in a festive situation, if our mind is under the cloud, sometimes it's like that. We're going through some astrological period, going through Saturn or Rahu. So we think it's because of the place we are in or the person we are with, but actually it's our own karma. It's like the cloud. You've seen that picture. There's a boy walking and then there's a cloud over his head. So wherever he's going, that cloud is coming in. So he's always feeling sad and depressed. And he's thinking that wherever he's going is the wrong place. Everybody else is happy, but he feels that way. So sometimes it could be a combination. The cloud is on our head, and therefore we are also in a bad mood. But sometimes, the same solitude, we may sometimes, like Sati, she could have stayed peacefully with Shiva and enjoyed the solitude, made more garlands for him, done something together with Mahadev. She could have asked Mahadev instead of asking him to let her go. She could have said, my dear husband, I have a need for connection. I have a need for this and this. Can you please, let's do something together. Let's read Srimad Bhagavatam together. Let's do something together. Mahadev, it would have been easier for Mahadev to do that for her than to see her go and walk into the mouth of death, So here we actually we can learn, we can see this pattern and this tendency that even we are in the best situations, best people, best association, if our mind is under anarthas, jealousy, anger, dissatisfaction, tamas guna, wherever we are, we'll feel like that. But if our mind is in sattva guna, even solitude, we'll find something nice to do. We'll join groups where like-minded people study Bhagavatam. We join support groups. We hang out with devotees like-minded. We're not like sitting and lamenting. We do something about it, and we do something favorable in that moment, whatever is possible. We may not have the kind of association we have, the party that we want, like Sati, she wanted to go to the celebration with the celestials. Okay, we may not be able to be with the celestials, meaning we may not always be able to be with the garland making team of Radha Madhava, but sometime all I can get is talk to the person. No, for years and years I have been traveling and preaching. So sometime my garland making or deity service was talking to new people, explaining Krishna consciousness, telling them who Krishna is. That's also, a sweet service. So like that, whichever circumstance we are in, a satisfied mind finds the goal is to become Krishna conscious. So a good mind will find situations to do something in Krishna consciousness. Okay. So with that, we'll end here. You can journal about these topics. You can outreach about this. Yesterday, I outreached with Aruni Radha. I was very helped. So you can talk with another devotee about your organizations, like that. Okay, we have a couple of minutes. Anybody wants to say something to end this?
Mataji, is it because of astrological effect on Sati? That's why she behaved in that way? Or is it that strong?
It's the planet Daksha. I mean, what does it mean, astrology? Astrology basically means our karma. What is karma? Is our parents, is our upbringing, is the nature of our parents. And in Sati's case, is typical of bad father, narcissistic father who couldn't see the interest of humanity. He was not just a father. He was not just a father to Sati, I mean to say. He was the father of the whole human race at that point. He was like populating the whole universe. And then so what is planets? Planets basically means the karma that we come with, the kind of parents we have, the kind of husband we have, the kind of, all those things is karma. And that's what karma means. Planets is not some kind of a mystical thing that suddenly falls on our head with no reason. These are all our own actions. And that's what Sati is doing. She's giving up her astrological chart at the end of this story. She's saying, I don't want to be Dakshayani anymore. She's casting off that body because it's connected to the karma with Daksha. We all carry DNA of our parents, and we also carry the character defects that they had. There are certain weakness. I tried so much all my adulthood to not be like my parents, right? Sometimes if I'm being honest, I catch myself having those same tendencies and patterns. In Sati's case, it's just she was so disgusted with Daksha that she's like, how can you offend Shiva? And so she wanted to give up her body. We can't even give up our body. We have those, they say, raktadalle bandide, we say in Kannada, like it's in your blood, it's in our blood to be like our parents and carry some thing in our parents. So Sati could not tolerate that her blood connection was with Daksha. It was so offensive to Lord Shiva. So it's a very relevant question. It's a very relevant question that we need to ponder on. What does it mean, karma? What does it mean, planets influencing us, right? Okay, like certain things are fixed. The kind of parents we have, the kind of body we have, right? These are fixed things. It's like an airplane. Once you take off, you are in the airplane and you can't change the pilot. You can't say, hey, let's change the airplane. Let me change the seats. Let me change the window cover. You can't do those things. Once you're in the airplane, you're in the airplane. So some things are karma that is already manifested karma, fructified karma. You can't change those things. But then there is the aprarabdha karma, the karma that is not yet manifest. Prarabdha karma, you can't do anything. It's already manifest. Your height, you can't change your height. You can wear heels, but you can't change your height. You can't change the structure of your body. There are many things. You can't change the color of your skin unless you're like Michael Jackson or something. I'm just saying, there are certain prarabdha karma aspects. I mean, when I say Michael Jackson, he may have changed the color of his skin, but that had its own consequences on his health, and it also had, it doesn't change your race just because you change the color of your skin. The cultural aspects of him being a black remained. It's not like because he changed his skin color, his culture changed or something. So the point is, there are some prarabdha karma elements, and fortunately or unfortunately, the kind of mind we have is also some sort of mixed prarabdha and aprarabdha. If I have an unsatisfied mind, it's because I didn't work on being satisfied in my previous life. I've been like hankering and being in passion. So today I have a mind that is fluctuating. That's a mind that is unstable, unsteady. Some people are not like that. I've seen some devotees, they have a really beautiful mind. Very beautiful mind, always thinking of Krishna, not criticizing anybody, always finding satisfaction, never blaming others. Even they take the difficult circumstances as Krishna's mercy. I mean, they have good karma. Maybe they had good parents. Maybe they had good mentors, good shiksha gurus. All these things matters. Who we hang out with, who we associate, what we do. All these habits matters. I had bought a book called Tracking Habits. It's not a book. It's like a calendar, no? Like you have different habits that you want to track, and then you mark. But then I was thinking, to form the habit of marking habits, I need a new habit. So yesterday, after months and months, I threw away that calendar because I was not able to keep track. So this is an indication to say that it's not very easy to form habits, especially this habit of satisfaction, gratitude. Thank you, Krishna. I have this. So that's a devotee mentality. So I hope you found some of this points relevant. And
Nice. Super excellent. Super excellent.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It's a good point for discussion, actually.
Yeah, actually, yesterday, Maharaj in the class, he was mentioning that
Which
if
Maharaj?
someone, Chandramali Maharaj, is giving Bhagavatam and he's taking Shishashtakam seminar. So he was mentioning that, someone has did a murder in one life. In the next life, when he become a Krishna conscious devotee, so what happened, how he will get the result of that karma, he had a cut of his one finger as a result of the karma. It's not bad because as he accepted Krishna as the supreme, so he will get the less karma. So I was just thinking uh, about this, what we are reading about sati. So like, although it's offense now that when you give up your life,
Hmm.
but I think it's all destined,
Mm-hmm.
what's gonna happen. And but the result, it's become like different for different people. It's not the same, like, if you have killed somebody or if you give up your life, like some become ghost. So
That's true. It's up to Krishna. It's a good point. Very good point. It's up to Krishna, what's going to happen. Sometimes we think, how this person is doing this, they're going to suffer, this is going to happen, that is going to happen, we may say, right? But then we don't know. Sometimes, I know one person, okay, one devotee, very nice devotee, but the person is crazy in the sense, psychologically they have some damage, they have went through, they come from a war country and they have traumas and they're a little bit crazy, okay? They just lose it all the time. And this person appears to be offending others or always fighting and this and that, okay? So one day I had this conversation with my husband, and I came to the conclusion that it may appear like, oh my God, this person is going around, looks like this person is offending everybody, always angry. They're doing this, they're saying that, they're losing it. But if you actually look from another perspective, if I look at it like a psychotherapist, if I look at a person as a patient, their actions is not counted as consciously doing something to harm somebody. I'm just saying, even in a very mundane medical terms, when a person who has certain disorders, psychological diseases, etc., even in court of law, people can evade punishment by proving that, oh, this person is insane, this person has mental disorders, and therefore they did this and this. They beat the whatever somebody. And they say, oh, this person, there's an excuse because of their mental disease or something. So what to speak of Krishna? He understands our weakness. He understands and he actually sees through our intentions. So in human perspective, we may look at somebody and say, oh, this person, Krishna is going to punish them, this is going to happen to them, that's going to, we don't know what's going on in their mind, in their heart, and then Krishna, it's between them and Krishna. So it's nothing for Krishna to just say, yeah, but this person, they had psychological trauma, like Sati's case, you can say it's suicide, right? But Krishna doesn't see it as suicide because she's Yoga Maya, she's an external potency. And he doesn't see it as suicide. He actually sees it in a different way. But what I'm saying is, in our life too, we may think that people doing certain actions is not justified. But in eyes of Krishna, it was very much justified. What Sati did was the right thing to do, right? We're going to see what she's going to do. She's going to put herself on flames with her yogic power. And she's going to say, I'm done being Dakshayani. I'm done here. And so I'm just saying, we have to be careful to judge people's actions. Sometimes people come from a place of hurt and whatever wound. It doesn't make what they're doing right. If somebody, they say the one who's wounded wounds others, somebody who's hurt hurts others. but it's not justified. Oh, because they are hurt, they can hurt others. I'm not saying that. But all I'm saying is we do not know what Krishna sees. The Krishna may see their actual intention and attitude to want to serve. He may actually see other aspects. Same for yourself too. Be compassionate with yourself. Don't put yourself down. Oh, I am immature. Oh, I am this. Oh, I am that. See yourself in the light of Krishna's kind. He's merciful. He will give you opportunities. Like I was praying. I'm going to stop the live here because I'm going to